life I've barely spoken. Your words have been so broken. I've been under your hypnosis. Why did I sip that potion? I'm so done with holy ghosting. My birth, it is an omen. Lay me down up in the ocean until you see no motion. Right now I can barely focus. I'm showing no emotion. On your knees, show your devotion. My skin is black but golden. I'm not here for bragging, boasting. Ain't lying, I've been chosen. Mind is burning, heart's exploding. This is my magnum opus. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd. But still I just look around. Are you with me now? Are you with me? Step in the fire, get ready to take it higher. Real coming out your amplifier. Y'all want every black man to be rich and proud. Why these weapons up and turn into shy, huh? Cell phone became your brother. Internet replaced your mother. You leaving homies on red. It's no wonder all your friends dead. Jealousy was a centerpiece, so my best friends turned to enemies. Sabotage my identity. Why they wanna treat me like a Kennedy? They wanna affect the legacy. Protect it hard, I cut off the extremities. I'll never be another piece in your recipe for social supremacy. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd. But till I just look around, are you with me now? Are you with me now? Whoa. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd, but still I just look around. Are you with me now? Are you with me now? Whoa. I feel like coming now. It's too late to shut it down. Over the mountain now. Burning the valley down. I don't know where my mind is. Don't even know what time is. Somebody stop the virus. I don't think I survived this. I feel it coming now. It's too late to shut it down. Over the mountain now. Burning the valley down. I don't know where my mind is. Don't even know what time is. Somebody stop the virus. Room full of bodies, but nothing but silence. Yeah, I'm quiet, but f*** all that shyness. Go crazy, turn this bitch into an asylum. You fly, but we ain't looking for pilots. I never back down to a tyrant, it's highness. Even Jack said, f*** all them giants. What goes up comes down, man, that's basic science. Look at my iris and you'll see the fines. I'd rather not get involved with you. What's the problem, man? I'll solve all you sign. How you find when your time up? How you climb when your line stuck? Barbershop getting lined up. Yeah, your head good, but your mind super clear. Uber everywhere. This sound like Superman is here. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? In fact, it's good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd, but still I just look around. Are you with me now? Are you with me now?
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the WardRadio live stream. Wow, this is a little bit of an impromptu stream here that unfortunately we did not have scheduled earlier today. But in light of the new news about the failed assassination attempt of Donald Trump, had to come on here, had to talk about it, had to analyze it. I've got about 15 tabs open on everything and have a couple of my friends and contacts back from my problem solver politics days. here sending us all of the updates as fast as we can get them, and I will be getting them to you. Before we go any further, please make sure you like the stream as you're coming in, share with your friends. We're going to be analyzing the assassination attempt of President Donald Trump and seeing everything that's going on right now, giving you best information that we can as best as we see fit with the journalistic ethics you would expect from us. So anyway, we're not a political channel. We generally denounce truth. We delight in truth, and we denounce deception, and we have fun. However, with a somber attitude, we approach this subject. We're usually not a political channel. However, this is germane to the conversation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because frankly, I hate to say it, but when you say punch a Nazi is okay, and by the way, by Nazi, I mean a New York real estate developer that I just don't like, you start getting attitudes that can lead to this. Now, we're not making assumptions about who this is. We do not understand motive yet, and so on and so forth. So we're going to responsibly talk only about what we know. However, just like all roads lead to Rome, I have actually studied quite a few assassination attempts, whether it's the first presidential assassination that was successful or presidential candidates assassination that was successful, being Joseph Smith Jr., or whether or not it was the guy that was trying to impress an actress in Hollywood who went after our President Ronald Reagan, even Theodore Roosevelt. So anyway, before we go any farther, I'm just going to catch everybody up here on what's going on. If you have any comments or any questions, please make sure that you send us a super chat and let us know what you guys think. With that said, Jackson Petit, welcome very much to the channel, my man. And everybody who would like to welcome Jackson into the Ward Radio Wigwam, please put a W in the chat. So without any further ado, we are going to just go straight to C-SPAN here. That has the, C-SPAN's pretty reliable and serious. It's a pretty reliable and serious outlet. We're going to analyze the video of one Donald Trump and his allegedly failed assassination attempt. So I'm going to cue this up a little bit better for you guys so you can see it here a little bit easier, and then just analyze it. I mean, this is absolutely wild, to be honest with you. I'm not surprised it happened, and I'm actually surprised it didn't happen earlier because personal experience, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a reason why me, Quaco, and Brad wore those plate carriers to that debate with RFM. Okay? That's all I can say. Progmos feel about us about as well as Trump's enemies feel about him. So here we go from the very beginning. Here is Donald Trump.
Our country, probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Okay, so you heard the first couple of fires there. I mean, the first couple of rounds there, sorry. We're going to be analyzing this in a minute. I just want to let this play so you guys can see everything that's going on. Here you hear him saying, "Shooter is down."
Let me get my shoes. Got you, sir. I got you, sir. Let me get my shoes, sir. Hold on, your head.
He asks for his shoes. That is awesome.
Watch out.
Okay, here you can hear the crowd just going absolutely nuts. Okay, now, so basically, I'm going to let this run as we start discussing this. You heard him say shooter is down. Obviously, the assumption would be at any point the president is getting shot at, lethal force is instantaneously allowed. And there you can see the Secret Service crowding around him. He's, of course, putting his fist to the sky. First things first, from a political perspective, if he wasn't going to win the election before, he sure is now. So congratulations to every Democrat that hated him. You know, that's there's a consequence for that robust hatred, and you unfortunately make martyrs out of those that you're trying to harm. Now, we're not saying that that was indeed the motivation of the person that went after Donald Trump. People that are familiar with Ronald Reagan's attempted assassination attempt know that he was trying to impress, who was the actress that was in Contact? Jodie Foster, I think is her name. If I'm not mistaken, the guy that went after Ronald Reagan attempted to do so in order to impress one Jodie Foster. So anyway, this is the famous picture that is going around, and it's basically put Donald Trump right up there with Malcolm X and the bullet in the ballot box. If you guys are very familiar with the picture of Malcolm X and a machine gun, you've officially just made Donald Trump somebody who has artwork that will literally be an icon in the political conversation. What you guys see right there of Donald Trump putting his fist in the sky after supposedly saying fight, fight, fight. You expect to see that picture absolutely everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of in the same vein that you will see this picture absolutely everywhere in artwork, on t-shirts, and so on and so forth. Okay, now to get into some of the news surrounding this and what we do know about this situation. Okay, first, we go to Disclosed TV. Trump was indeed grazed by the bullet. Okay. 2 dead, including the shooter, says Butler County District Attorney, according to the Washington Post. So we're going to analyze that video again really fast, where you actually get a chance to see that bullet. It's one of the first that happens. And from what I understand from the trajectory of the bullet, Donald Trump originally was, looks like the attempt was to go from the side, but then he was facing the assailant. So it's confusing right now from the news reports whether he was facing or not facing the assailant. It looks like, people have tried to analyze which way the blood on his ear was facing and so on and so forth. But I mean, he's swinging his head around. That could be that could be coming pretty much from any direction. I think it would be difficult to make a convincing argument based upon simply the images that we're seeing on X.com right now, what happened. However, we're going to watch that video again really fast.
Country,
you can see
probably 20 million people. And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Okay, so right there, you actually, if you look at the crowd, this is very interesting. Most people don't know what gunfire sounds like. Okay. Also, most cameras and most broadcast equipment that has clipping software, it's called, will actually reduce these outlying sounds that are outside of the bell curve of what we can traditionally expect to hear from broadcast human voices. So a lot of people have made speculations as to the caliber and as to the gun used, obviously without being able to see it and not being able to analyze it. We can't say anything definitive. However, I will also call into question any suggestions about the caliber, so on and so forth, because what we're hearing is basically seems to be a feed broadcast from C-SPAN, which is the most common one that I see floating around the internet right now. And with the compression software, it purposely reduces the loudness. And anybody else who's ever been on a gun range, as I have, so on and so forth. I have my CCW in 39 states, the United States of America, and I have recorded thousands of rounds, whether it's on my iPhone or on professional audio equipment. And I can tell you that the sound in person is definitely different than the sound that comes through recording equipment. I will say, however, that most of those people looked a little bit confused and around. There's a very large percussion wave that comes out of the muzzle of large caliber rounds. Like even we're talking, oh gosh, like you shoot a 223, which is what an AR-15 has. You shoot even a 9mm with a short barrel, and it's got a pretty big blast to it. Anybody within a close radius, which it seems like this guy was, I would estimate within easily 50 yards for sure, but I'd say probably within 25 or something. That's again just speculation. I think they would have felt it, and it would have been a little bit more obvious. So this was either at a further range than we would think the average person could get around that close to Donald Trump's head. Because here's the other thing. You see him as he instantaneously holds his ear because it grazed his ear. Anybody that trains in self-defense, not in aggression, obviously, knows that the head is the last thing that you aim for because it's the hardest to hit. Even at 6 yards, 8 yards, 10 yards, you're far better aiming center mass or for the stomach, because the head, it swivels, it wobbles, it wiggles, and if you miss it, nothing's done. Whereas if you're shooting center mass and you miss and you hit the lower abdomen, you've still stopped your assailant, right? Well, if you reverse that in terms of aggression, you would know that would be the most effective way to take down an opponent. It doesn't seem what was done here. It seems like they were aiming for the head, and he did indeed get grazed. Now, here's some sick and pathetic things that people are saying online, but I think it's important to understand who we're dealing here with. Because when I say these people are deranged, okay? First comment right here, but Republicans say that guns make Americans safer. I'm confused. Foxy, save democracy. By the way, when everybody has saved democracy in their Twitter profile, okay, you know that they're just a filthy church derangement syndrome, Trump derangement syndrome. Like the progmos that come after us always have some version of this, some permutation, shall we say, in their profile. And it says, I call BS, looks like a mosquito bite. Then there's a couple of other comments here. Here's somebody calling into question, if it was a gunshot, wouldn't have gone into the crowd behind him, not if it was from the side. And you can tell he's looking at the side, and then his ear gets grazed. Okay. And then you, of course, get the people wishing that I won't put this up on the screen, that he hadn't missed. All right. And some here are saying, what's it called? Shooters in custody, from what I understand. It's a little bit worse than that, shall we now say, right? So, yeah, this is intense. This is a big deal. Back to the original video so we all catch up on what's going on here. I have members of our church, our stake, and my ward that have had to protect the president before. We're talking President Donald Trump here. So unfortunately, this is not the first time we've talked about attempts on Donald Trump's life on this show. We have also talked about the man that tried to bum rush him in a crowd, and a fellow brother of the LDS faith that had to tackle that individual. So back to the video. Here's Donald Trump where he first gets grazed.
That's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Okay, so right there, he's starting to flinch. Now, Secret Service does its job, and I will say does its second job. This right here, and this pandemonium you see in the audience, is actually a failure of the first job. This isn't supposed to happen. It's not supposed to come close to happening. You may not realize this. I don't know if it's a current protocol now, but if memory serves me correctly, it's for sure a past protocol that no law enforcement except for the Secret Service can even hold a gun in proximity to the president. The FAA no longer allows us in the EAA, the Experimental Aircraft Association, to fly over the president, fly over any of the president's buildings, or even the presidential libraries named after them. That's how much we have to defend the figurehead of our country and how myriad are the threats against him. So their first failure was actually allowing a gun to get that close to the president. I'm sorry, but there are going to be plenty of people called into question, reviewed, and possibly fired because this even came close to happening. Regardless of what you think about Donald Trump, assassinations are the mark of a third world country. But does it surprise us that third world country assassination attempts have started happening after we've tried to arrest this guy and give him jail time for how he filled out real estate forms in New York? And all the people that are saying, oh, yeah, well, this is probably fake. Who's the conspiracy theorist now? Really? Who's the Alex Jones now? This does not look fake to me. There's a silver lining in this. Okay, obviously I would only say this if Donald Trump survived, but I think it is kind of funny that all of the Secret Service guys, let's pull this up. It is kind of funny that Donald Trump is actually taller than all the Secret Service guys trying to protect him. And that like, as he's like fist bumping to the sky, they're trying to get him down and they're trying to protect his head, but like they're not bigger than him. You know, so you'd like to think that a larger guy like me could, you know, cover a vulnerable target like my wife or my children or something like that. But Donald Trump is so physically large in stature himself that, I mean, he's rivaling his bodyguards. All right. He's rivaling his bodyguards. Okay. So anyway, back to the video right here. I'm going to pull this up, give us a little bit more perspective so we can watch from the wide angle. Okay, now we're not sure if what we're hearing are some echoes of the first round or if those are multiple rounds. I know a lot of people have tried to count the rounds, but not sure if they're echoes or originals. Okay, that was Dunzo.
Hold, when you're ready, on you. Ready? Move! Up, move! Go! Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here, move it to the spare. Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready. We ready? Down. Shooters down. Are we good? Shooters down. Shooters down. Are we good to move? Shooters down. We're good to move. We're clear. Let's move. Let's move. We're clear. I got you, sir. Let me get my shoes, sir. Hold on.
That is the best line of the entire thing besides what's about to come up, and we're going to analyze really quickly secondly.
Watch out.
Now, I don't know exactly why this part of the feed all of a sudden went down in audio, but here you can see it looks like he says fight. It looks like he says fight, and I have to say, this guy is forever immortalized in the Showmanship Hall of Fame because Barnum and Bailey used to be straight up there as well, but Theodore Roosevelt and Donald Trump both fist bump to the sky. Theodore Roosevelt famously said, I think he pinked me, and or he only pinked me, which means only just barely got me, and had to show people in his audience that didn't believe he could have had an attempt on his life and a bullet in him. He actually had to show the blood stain that I believe was on the speech that he was about to give to the audience. So anyway, I'm pulling up the Washington Post here. That is not the best newspaper, but still one of our papers of record. So, oops, sorry about that, guys. Finish this video one more time. All right. So anyway, a couple of your thoughts really fast. I know that a couple of people have had some opinions in the chat as well. Oh, dang it. It's not showing me what he said or what you guys have said. Give me 2 seconds here. There we go. I just had to refresh. Sorry about that. A lot of people said if he wasn't going to win before, he just did. Other people have been commenting that this is a constitutional republic, not a democracy, reminding us that yes, constitutional republic, not a democracy, and Fox is confirming that 2 are dead. Some people are asking how many people want to guess if the shooter left a manifesto. And Angel Puff Starfish says CNN's headline was that he fell. Oh, that's interesting. Well, I'm going to get Brittany the Shadow in here to help me run all of these 15 tabs that we have open. And hopefully if Luke Hansen of the Cougar Chronicle or Jonah Barnes or Jacob, and you guys are listening, you want to jump in as well. I know I've been seeing the chat going off right now like crazy. I'm just going to go over the news articles and tell you guys everything that we know about the assassination of the failed assassination attempt at Donald Trump. Oh, excuse me. So Trump is safe after being rushed off the stage following a shooting at the rally. Okay. So, clicking on a couple of these links here, seeing Washington Post has to say. Okay, so they're looking at the exact same thing we are. Now, I'm just going to give a couple of my thoughts really fast as we let a couple more people come to the chat and as we let Brittany show up, anybody else that wants to participate show up. Why is this germane? I have to say, because what have I been saying on this show? What have I been saying on this show for months now? Okay, I've been saying that rhetoric's getting hot. Okay, there's only one way to put it, that the rhetoric is it's getting hot, and you can't keep justifying the dehumanization of people that believe in traditional marriage, that believe taxes are too high, that believe X, Y, or Z thing as a foe that is worthy of prison, death, so on and so forth. You don't hear that rhetoric from our show. You don't hear that rhetoric from people on our side of the conversation. You definitely don't. That's not a Christian trope. But those that are against him say that very, very often, and you can't pave that slope before it gets slippery and you start getting, frankly, to places like this. So anyway, apparently Trump is safe, and the shooter's detained. We're going to read what they finished saying here on the website, that former President Donald Trump was rushed off stage from a campaign rally here on Saturday evening where a shooting left 2 other people dead, authorities said, and the campaign spokesman said he was taken to a medical facility but is fine. Okay, define fine. I don't know how. I mean, obviously fine in the sense that he's alive. He's got blood stains all over him, and you can see the spatter on his face from being grazed by the ear. So yeah, I mean, he was harmed, but obviously not critically. And just a little shout out here to Dr. Monhatva, who brings up a good point. When they tell you who they are, believe them. Here's Tori James, who says, my neighbor just said, it's a pity they weren't a better shot. Just remember to believe them when they say who they are. And I got to say, shout out here to Jim Bennett, saying so many questions. This is completely unacceptable, full stop. There were several shots where anybody, other people hit. So look, kudos to Jim Bennett. That's why he is a friend of our show, because he says simple, low-hanging fruit. Like, this is completely unacceptable, full stop. My challenge is to see exactly how many other, quote, progmos say this and instead rejoice on ex-Mormon subreddit. So here's a couple more comments. Speaking of Elon Musk, last time America had a candidate this tough, it was Theodore Roosevelt. And this right here, like I said, will be the picture you see on T-shirts that replaces Malcolm X as the ballot and the bullet box of the conservative parties in America for a really long time. So anyway, we'd like to welcome into the studio Brittany the Shadow, who is also monitoring the myriad Twitter feeds that we have going on right now. I just realized that I don't. Wait, hold on. What'd you say? Wait, I didn't have you on. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Now I got you on. Okay, cool.
I'm out of here.
You're out of here. We're gonzo. I also have to really quickly freaking find where the remote is so that I can turn. Oh, there we are, babe.
That's what
All
I was
the
looking
lights
for,
on.
but it was so dark. I just
Yeah.
kind of crept. I just came from the pool. I still have my swimsuit on, and I just put on.
So
a
why are
little-
you wearing the sweater, babe? Come on, man.
Well,
you know, this is.
You said this was a live stream, so you know.
Yeah, that's why. Okay,
Your girl
awesome.
is covered.
Okay, also, we'd all like to welcome Luke Hansen, who is the editor-in-chief of WardRadio News, to help us decipher what on earth is going on. Luke, how's it going, my man?
Oh, it's doing good. I'm just coming to you from Shenandoah National Park, so hopefully the connection's okay.
All right, it's not bad. It's not bad. So, I've been talking a little bit on our end. What's going on? What do you got for us, bro? What do you got for us?
Oh man, I was lucky enough that I saw this news like right after they said he's fine. So I didn't have to like for 30 minutes not knowing what's going on. But like, my gosh, January 6th is done. If anybody says January 6th again, like, I don't know what we need to do with him, but we need to impose some sort of a penalty. Because that ship has sailed. That narrative's over. Oh my gosh. And then just like the image of like, he knows there's a shooter. I don't know if you guys have seen the video, but like, something happens, he goes down, and it looks like the Secret Service kind of brings him up, maybe to like check him and to start getting them on the move out. And then he like kind of moves them out of the way to like put his fist in the air and yell something.
It looks
and
like
kind of
most
get the
people have
crowd
said he said fight.
Like let him know that he's okay. Fight. It looked like it might have been another short word that started with F, and I didn't know if that's what he said.
Honestly, I'd probably say it too. Let's be honest.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Like, just oh my God, in the moment, like, you know, whoever did that is still where they are. You know, it's not like the threat has passed, and he's still like putting himself up in that same position again without the Secret Service.
Well, they did say shoot her down.
They're trying to as best as they can.
Well, hold on. Did you also see that the mainstream media they're not saying bullet shots, they're saying loud noises?
Oh yeah,
you can't cover that?
You can't cover this up. You can't cover this up. And if you actually listen to the hot mic and you turn the sound up, you hear them say shoot her down before they get him up, it looks like. So it seems like the Secret Service said shoot her down before they got him up. We heard that live. So I don't know if a lot of other people caught on to that, but yeah, that's
okay.
And shout out to the female Secret Service lady. Did you see her right front and middle and center? Dang,
dude.
I do not understand how you have a photo like that with the lighting and the flag and the blood and the Secret Service and the fists in the air.
I was going to say this woman, like these three Secret Service guys' careers are made for the rest of their lives.
Like, look at that girl. Like, I know the other guys are doing stuff, but she is like in there.
Dude, that girl right there will be training every single Secret Service female officer that ever gets to the academy for the rest of her life. because she's like, boom, hugged up on Donald Trump and just getting him the heck out of there. And I did say it was kind of funny that Donald Trump was as big or bigger than everybody that tried to jump on him. I did notice that, and I'm saying, like, we need to go to like Eastern Europe and get some like burly Slavs. We need to go through the NBA's like retiree section and see if there's not some bigger and taller like ex-rugby and football player and basketball players that maybe want to become Secret Service bodyguards, because Donald Trump was at least as tall or bigger than every person that jumped. And by the way, he escaped by the skin of his chinny chin. Joseph Smith was shot through the cheek and he just barely was grazed in the ear. We are talking an 1.5 inch difference here. Yeah.
And apparently one bullet, I mean, if you got a second one off, because there was a hesitation there. It was kind of like, what the heck? And then down it goes.
Yeah.
So, man, that was
Did you see what
insane. I can't believe it still.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, dude, it's hilarious looking at the mainstream media's narrative on this. Look, 45 minutes ago, there's an article put up on the I shouldn't say mainstream media, but on the Daily Wire. It's really funny when you watch these things. It says Trump appears to be shot at rally, but 63 minutes ago, Trump spokesperson gives statements of health after his shooting. You know what I say? Like, there's one editor that's like trying to be like, he appears to be shot. It is alleged, right? And then there's another editor that's like, yeah, he's fine after the shooting. It's actually kind of funny. They're both going to town this way. But anyway, Brittany, say what you said.
Did you see what Kennedy tweeted out?
No.
Robert F. Kennedy
what'd your
Jr.?
boy RFK? By the way, you still an RFK girl after your boy Trump?
I love Kennedy. Like, how many times have I told you, Cardin, I'm going to vote for Kennedy?
Even now? Kennedy hasn't taken a...
Can I talk?
Actually, I shouldn't say Kennedy hasn't taken a bullet. That's
Can
not fair.
I talk? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Kennedy.
like, with regards to Trump, right, I was kind of like, I don't know, he's very divisive. Like, I want healing, I want peace, I want high vibes. Even though I love Trump and I think he would be great, be happy if he won, I was like, I don't know, Cardin, I think I'm just going to vote for Kennedy. That being said, I love Kennedy, by the way. I would still probably vote for him. But the fact that Trump was almost just killed, wiped off the face of this earth, that does make me want, I don't know, support him with my vote. Like, it feels like it's the least I could do. So I don't know. I mean, I like both. But.
So what do you say to rebut these fools that say this was, Well,
hold on. Can I tell you what Kennedy said?
Oh, what did he say? Yeah, sorry.
He said, now is the time for every American who loves our country to step back from the division, renounce all violence, and unite in prayer for President Trump and his family. And I just want to be like, if you can't do that, if you have Trump derangement syndrome, you probably should get out of the country.
No, jeez. So here's the deal. Like, Luke, the only reason I went on live to talk about this is because we're not a political channel. But, like, I think the rhetoric that led to this is the rhetoric that has led, frankly, I'm surprised this hasn't happened in a Mormon church yet. I'm surprised this didn't happen earlier to Donald Trump, and I'm surprised this hasn't happened earlier in a Mormon church yet, because we have so just justified any level of discrimination, hatred, jealousy of, and or just overt direct action against anybody. You can punch a Nazi and you're not a bad person. And by Nazi, we mean, somebody who doesn't believe in gay marriage, or, a bombastic real estate agent from New York City. Do you think that this has a parallel in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and that it's not unreasonable to expect and prepare against something like this happening to us?
Yeah, when you're looking at, see, here's the problem. And here's the biggest question that I've been thinking over for the past, 30 minutes since I heard about this.
Okay.
Is this going to be, are people going to go over to like the conservatives were right, or the Republicans, whoever was saying, look, we don't agree that January 6th was wonderful, but at the same time, it's Trump is not as much of a threat to democracy. No. this is a live stream, so I have to like be coming up with this on the fly.
Yeah.
They tried to act as if. And I think Jacob Hansen, Thoughtful Faith, he did a thing recently with a professor named Benjamin Pacini, I think or Pacini is how you say his last name, professor at BYUI, who was just kind of like the never Trump, like absolutely never Trump, even though I'm a Republican, even though I'm a conservative libertarian on the economic front, I can just absolutely no to Trump. And apparently his rationale was threat to democracy, January 6th, incited an insurrection. And so what I'm curious about is if this event is going to bring people over into like recognizing, okay, there's dangers on both sides, or if a lot of people are just kind of dismissed it as like, oh, just because one guy fired off one shot at the president doesn't mean that that whole side of the aisle is that much of a threat to democracy, will use any means necessary, as they accuse Trump of doing. So bringing it back to your question, Cardin, I don't know if we should see this as a one-off event of like, if there's one insane guy who, you know, had a rough childhood, who didn't take the proper medications for the past 6 months and ended up doing something crazy, does that reflect on the whole rest of the country and what could happen in other situations? Yes. Or is it just a one-off event? And so I'm still struggling with that, but I think it does show that we're not in a different age than Lincoln lived in. We're not in a different age than Ronald Reagan lived in. We're not in a different age than both the Kennedys that are not RFK lived in.
Yeah.
And died in, or at least in the case of Ronald Reagan, an attempted assassination. So we're not beyond that. These things can still happen. It could happen to somebody in the church that's high ranking from somebody who's just completely off the rocker, and it can happen in politics on both sides. And I don't think we should use it to weaponize, and like, at the very least, the people who are saying, oh, January 6th this, January 6th that, I think should, if they're being intellectually honest, they should at least say, okay, if I want to dismiss the crazy person that happens to align with who I think should be president, then I have to be willing to give some grace to not put what a couple of people did at a Capitol on a particular afternoon onto that whole wing of the party and a preferred candidate. Okay. So that's the hope. I don't think that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, I was going to say,
some people are going to wake up.
You're coming from that point of view as a sane person. And I think there's a lot of people in this country that are not sane.
Yeah. So I'm going to go over a couple of these super chats really fast. Again, Jason Gass says the things they're going to say at the RNC next week. Wow. You just handed an entire political party a red meat. You just threw red meat to wolves. No pun intended.
And is that where Trump announces his VP?
The best campaign picture you could ever have.
Dude. Like, seriously?
I don't know if...
I mean, like, you look at that, whoever took that pic right there is going down in history. Whoever took that pic right there is going down in history. There's people already comparing it to Iwo Jima. You know what I'm saying? Like, holy smoke. My first thought was Malcolm X, the bullet in the ballot box. I thought, it's going to be a t-shirt graphic for sure. But like that, man, oh, geez, holy smoke. We just watched history. Like, there's very few times in life where you're like, oh my gosh, I remember where I was when I watched history. Like, that is absolutely incredible.
Okay, and sorry if you already covered this, but I know last I checked on the news, it said 2 confirmed dead, a third was in critical condition, right?
I did not hear the third. Actually, if you could look that, I'm going to look that up really fast to make sure that
I'm just wondering, do we know who those people, were they just in the rally civilians? Were they Secret Service that got shot? That's what I do. Does anyone know?
Right now, I have heard nothing on the identity of the shooter.
And I heard the shooter is dead.
Yes. Well, they said shooter down, which doesn't necessarily mean dead, but it means the threat was neutralized. Oh, okay. This just came in.
Neutralized.
This just came in from CNN. So I'm going to pull this up and see if I can't put this on the screen so you guys can see it really quickly. What we're covering just in, by the way,
Oh, look at this. I'm gonna text you this picture.
In the Discord. Oh, put it in the Discord if you don't mind.
Here.
So this just in from CNN. What we're covering: the government and one audience member are dead after a shooting at former President Donald Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday night. According to the local district attorney, another spectator is in serious condition. So we can confirm that it was a spectator who was that second person that was talked about. That Trump was indeed injured in the shooting, and he dropped to the ground and was sworn by Secret Service agents after shots rang out while he spoke on stage. He had blood on his face as he was rushed away, but pumped his fist and shouted to the attendees. Now, I've been seeing tweets here where people are claiming that they heard him say fight, presumably from friends and family that are at the rally. And this is wild. Like, this is real. Twitter is like real-time reporting. You know what I'm saying? If you can just upload the videos and hear it. I haven't been able to confirm this yet, but it's pretty well understood both on the Daily Wire and Washington Post saying that he did indeed say fight. Other people said they aren't sure what he said, but that seems to be the consensus. The Secret Service has actually issued an official statement saying Trump is safe and under protective measures, and that he's, quote, fine after the, quote, heinous act. And Biden has issued a statement here saying, finally, thank you.
Well, it's before 8 p.m., so he should.
You know, oh, geez, brutal, Brittany, brutal. Says he is grateful Trump is okay after the shooting. And he should be, because frankly, this is the exact same Secret Service that is protecting him. You know, so anyway, all right. Is that all you got for us, Lucas? Not Lucas. Luke, you want to hang out with us for a little bit while longer? Or do you got to go, my man?
Well, I probably do have to go help the kids go to bed, but we definitely should be praying for whoever that attendee was. I know fog of war, things can get, you can have information that you think one thing happened, another thing happened. So probably by tomorrow, the story might be a little different than it seems like it is right now. But
yeah. And
as long as that's from a credible source, I think we should, be praying for them. And that's probably the real tragedy of this situation.
And
that's unfortunate. I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah. And speaking of prayers, I can confirm right now that the shooter at the Trump rally is killed by Secret Service, according to a U.S. Secret Service source. But unfortunately, an attendee was also killed during the incident.
Okay, so that was the two confirmed deaths,
so,
the shooter and a civilian.
Yeah, now the thing is, who knows? Maybe the shooter had a Confederate and it was somebody that was involved with him. Maybe it's somebody that, unfortunately, I'm sorry, but if you've got the guy in your sights and you've got an AR-15 in your special forces and you light up a dude who's coming after the president of the United States of America, that's a high velocity bullet that can go through that person and the person behind him. You know, like, we don't know if this is, I don't want to call it friendly fire, but we don't want to know if this is collateral damage, as they call it, or if somebody they have not been able to identify as a Confederate yet has been harmed. But if it is somebody where it was just, just collateral damage, to a certain extent, that person's needs to be regarded with the utmost respect, and to a certain extent kind of died for their country in a certain indirect way as well, because I'm sure that whoever took that shot was doing it to protect the president, so there's definitely some prayers that need to be thrown up tonight by everybody on behalf of, hopefully, this person, if they are in an incident. So anyway, thank you for hanging out with us, Luke. And hold
on, wait.
Yeah,
look at put this picture back up.
Okay, yeah.
I know this is history and we're witnessing history, but is this not just like such our society? Like, scroll back up. Like, people out there with their phones. Like, the president was almost just, or former president was almost just assassinated, and he's like being held up, and people are literally taking pictures. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, also, we would like to think that maybe, I've worked in news long enough that when something happens, my first my first inclination is to record as well, because you're going to need to be able to document afterwards.
I get it.
You know, so it does. I can see why you would think that.
Like that guy's hand is literally on his leg.
But
like,
if you look around and you're like, okay, yeah. If you look around and you're like, okay, 5 other people have got this covered. I'm pretty sure if I really need this footage for some reason, I could find it later on YouTube.
Yeah, and I think you're talking about these cats right here.
That guy in the white shirt, it looks so casual.
just-
He's literally just like, oh, sweet, I'll take a pic. I don't know, not to condemn the guy, but I just thought that was
Or maybe he's just a
interesting.
very dutiful police officer who's like, I need to scan the audience right now as quickly as I can.
Maybe.
You know, so we reserve judgment. We officially reserve judgment. Okay. But
I put a picture of Trump in the Discord, though, if you want to pull it up. It's kind of a cool shot.
okay, cool.
Well, bad choice of language there.
Oh my gosh. Wow, they got him on the ground. Wow, the photography coming out of this is incredible.
Yeah.
Wow, way to make a hero out of the guy.
As he's like in the huddle, they got him through some kind of.
Jeez. Wow.
There apparently is a couple of things going around saying, oh, it's set up, which is an acknowledgement of how perfect it is in one sense. Obviously, extremely tragic. And
Dude,
we assume
there's
that
no
there's
way
reports
this
or
could be-
of this person dying.
There's no way this can just be some kind of, like, what? Do you think that he planted a squib in his ear and that in front of a bunch of
and how do
people
you get
ARs
this-
were drawn?
Well, how do you get the Secret Service in on it?
Exactly. Exactly, dude.
The Secret, are you kidding me? The Secret Service?
The Secret Service is the single law enforcement agency that I actually respect, like 100% in this country, as really actually trying to fulfill its mission statement and not politically corrupt at this point. You know what I'm saying? And I know members of the Secret Service, and some of the most serious members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are Secret Service members. In fact, it was a Mormon that tackled the guy that tried to bum rush Donald Trump the very first time at his rally. Do you remember when they had to huddle around Donald Trump the first time? And when they interviewed the guy, first they wanted to see if he was crazy. They found he wasn't crazy. And they asked, why did you choose this area? They like debriefed the guy. They actually kind of let him go. Surprisingly, like, I'm surprised he wasn't sentenced to freaking a decade in prison, dude. You know what I'm saying? As much as I am a huge prison reform guy, I think you come at the president, you need to make examples of these people, dude. So, anyway, when they let him go, they did, though, force him to kind of say, why did you choose this area? And he chose the area to run after the president because they thought the biggest guy would be the slowest. They didn't realize this dude was an ex-football star that was like 6'8", nearly 300 pounds, and ran the 40 in half the time that I do, right? And when you watch the video, as soon as the guy hops the barrier and runs after the president, you see this guy in just like 8 steps, get him, wrap him up, and just like, boom, he's lucky he didn't crack his skull on the pavement. You know, so wow. Anyway, holy smoke, man!
I remember hearing like a testimony of the Secret Service guy who was part of the detail when Kennedy got assassinated, and just like the disbelief and just like the amount that they felt that they had failed at their jobs that day. And so I'm very glad for them, as well as obviously for Trump himself, that didn't happen, and they can, maybe they have 5 years off their life now from the stress of those 3 minutes right there, but they can, you know, rest easy knowing that they were successful in what their job was.
Exactly. So anyway,
so like I don't think, because I'm kind of afraid that people who were already Trump fans are going to try to be triumphalist about this. To an extent, I think people do need to be saying, okay, look, the narratives we were operating with around who's threatening political violence, who's going to start an insurrection, who's the danger to the other candidate, who's going to throw the other one in jail. Like, I think there needs to be some sort of reckoning of saying, okay, this isn't all one side. This isn't all January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. At the same time, the people, like the person who tried to assassinate Reagan, the person who did assassinate Kennedy, like, they're not they weren't like sent out by somebody. There wasn't some sort of plot. They were just a very disturbed person.
Well, it depends.
Okay.
No, they're like, for example,
asterisks on that.
Reagan
for sure, though.
No, you're
The one
saying
in the
it's a
past 4
mixed bag.
decades.
It's a mixed bag, and we
Yeah.
have to reserve judgment because, for example, I said this earlier in the podcast, the guy that tried to kill Reagan was trying to impress Jodie Foster, but we all know John Wilkes Booth was literally, it was a political motivation, okay? It was a political motivation.
Yeah, John Wilkes Booth is like the most, your typical, what you think of as like a presidential assassin. That's John Wilkes Booth. Kennedy and Reagan were not that. They were like just very disturbed people who got a lucky chance.
Yeah. Now, here's something.
With asterisks, if we want to have a Kennedy's discussion, we can have that discussion. But
yeah. Well, really fast, I'm just going to put on the screen.
For those who are going to be saying, oh, my goodness, this is the inside plot. This is what they were going to try to do. This is their last straw after that terrible debate performance. Just like, let's chill out. Let's hold on. Let's see what happens and what comes out. And more likely than not, that's not going to be the case.
Now, this is very interesting, and this is coming from CNN. It's a garbage news source in terms of political bent and angle with wild Trump derangement syndrome. But you would hope that at least some of these factoids they could get right, and some of their legacy reporters that are just beat reporters would get this right. This is a very interesting headline, Luke, that just came up on CNN. 3 law enforcement sources can confirm the shooter was outside the venue at former President Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I had said earlier in this live stream that it either had to be small caliber or the audio was compressed through the compression on the C-SPAN episode that we saw, because most people were not reacting thinking that it was gunfire. Most people don't know what gunfire sounds like, but there would have been somebody in the audience that at least recognized it for what it was possibly. And it did sound almost like a very small caliber. And that I mentioned previously in the live stream that there's a compression wave that you feel when you are in any kind of immediate proximity to high caliber fire. So I said, if it were high caliber, people would have been reacting differently. And if it was within 50 yards, I would assume that kind of that percussion wave and that noise would have created a different reaction in the crowd. And it seems like my inarticulate suspicions were verified, because here is CNN saying the shooter was outside the venue at the Trump rally. Multiple law enforcement sources say. 2 of these sources say the shooter was on a roof outside of the venue. Multiple law enforcement sources have referred to this individual as a sniper, although additional details about this are not clear. Butler County District Attorney Richard Goldbinger said he was told by his chief detective that the shooter was on a building adjacent to the property and had no other additional details on the person. However, he did say it would have required a rifle and he was several hundred yards, which is definitely, that would explain.
And that would make sense how they got him down so fast. Because if somebody's scanning to make sure everything's good, kind of a Secret Service type of person, and they see the muzzle flash, then you can just bam and get that person down pretty quickly. If they're in the middle of a crowd, that could take longer to
and it would also
find them and neutralize them.
Yeah, it would also it would unfortunately shed some light on the possibility of how that second person died. Because if they were behind Donald Trump,
I think it's almost certain. Yeah,
exactly. If they were behind Donald Trump, that would instantaneously explain, unfortunately, that it was a failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but not a failed assassination attempt on an innocent bystander. And now they're finally getting people to talk who are survivors thereof, describing it as, quote, complete pandemonium. All right. And what's really interesting is it does seem like the sound of C-SPAN was good, because this person is claiming that it seems initially like firecrackers went off, and one half of the crowd on the far end of the rally thought it was some type of weird joke. The other half of the crowd knew it wasn't, was trying to push or impress upon the rest of the crowd that this is serious. I think everyone got the idea of very quickly that it was a dangerous situation, and everybody just started hitting the deck. And he says he described seeing a man in the bleachers near him hit in the head by gunfire and another woman nearby being hit in the arm. He said it was hard to figure out which direction the gunfire was coming from, and he added that police moved quickly to clear the bleachers. It's something that you don't expect. It's very shocking. So unfortunately, he may have witnessed the demise of the victim of the shooter that was going towards Donald Trump. So anyway, it
How
looks,
do you
And
come back
hopefully
from
more
that?
don't come out.
what'd you say?
Hopefully we've got, because there's always the possibility that like someone else could hit, and everybody's just trying to get the facts all together to get that information out as well. So hopefully it's only, it's a little macabre to say, but hopefully it's only those 2 additional people, and we don't hear about any more later that suffered from this.
Yes.
Well, it sounds
exactly.
like one is in critical condition, so probably ICU.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was just saying, how do you come back from this mentally? How do you come back? Like, one thing for Trump to be convicted of felon, right, and to have all the money and influence, and he kind of just doesn't care, right, and he's just kind of like, oh, whatever. But then the fact that I was almost just killed, and all my money, power, influence can't save me from that. How do you trust anybody?
Oh,
I don't know how you do that.
for him.
Project 2025 is starting to sound real cool to a lot of people right now.
I don't even know,
You
what
know,
that
like,
is. Everyone's posting.
everybody's
Project
claiming-
20.
I don't even
I don't even
know
know
what
what
that
that
is either.
is.
Oh, everybody's claiming it's Project 2025 is like, it's the most Googled thing. And there was this big spat between Ben Shapiro and between Eric Swalwell from
Swalwell,
California.
yeah.
All the crappiest Democrats, they all come from California, bro. So, except for Gavin Newsom, that guy's a savage, and I will give that guy credit where credit is due. But anyway, I will say that he kept peppering Ben Shapiro, saying that, Project 2025 is the most Googled thing on the internet. I haven't even read it yet. But I know it says, I've heard some people that have done bullet points on it. Like the Rolling Stone wrote an article saying, read the right wing's terrifying ideas for America in 2025. And the only bullet points I read was like decrease bureaucracy, seal the borders. You know what I said? Like all these basic like 1980s Republican talking points. So I'm actually going to look it up right now so that all the people that want to clip me, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm gonna read some super chats.
Yeah, read the super chats and we'll do it.
I think we left off on Jason Gast.
Yeah.
He said the Secret Service looks like they're raising the flag on Iwo Jima.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Scottish Warrior says Trump is like Alma. If we vote on past sins for profit, we have no Alma. Trump is not perfect, but he loves God. God saved his life. Persistent Trump, or maybe President Trump. Okay.
I could see it saving president.
Yeah. Latter Day Chad, White Horse incoming.
Is he talking about the white horse in Revelation, the pale horse?
I don't know.
Okay, keep going.
Um,
Or the white
I'm
horse
wondering
prophecy?
if I think it's the white horse prophecy, which I don't know if that's the same as the Constitution by a thread prophecy, but I would just urge caution in jumping to conclusions on this stuff.
Isn't the
But
Constitution
that's me.
thing?
That's
is
cool-headed
that,
Luke. People can.
wasn't the Constitution thing kind of debunked? Like it's not an actual thing. It's just kind of like Mormon folklore.
No.
You know, I chatted this to Cardin. I didn't get permission, so you can stop me if you want to, Cardin.
Uh-oh.
Whatever.
I was sent a podcast that Jim Bennett did recently.
Okay.
And Jim Bennett is very, very, very anti-Trump. And the funny thing that he said was like, oh yeah, this prophecy is ridiculous. And I actually talked to Uchtdorf about it at some point.
Oh, dang.
It wasn't recently, it was a while ago. He's like, oh, like all these people are trying to bring up this white horse prophecy every time there's a presidential election to like as proof of why we need to elect the Republican candidate. And Uchtdorf told him, yeah, that's completely silly. Like this is, and so then he asked Uchtdorf, well, why don't you bring it up at General Conference? And Uchtdorf's like, we don't talk about that sort of thing at General Conference.
Yeah.
And Jim Bennett was mad about that, but I think it's completely reasonable to not talk about American politics at a worldwide general conference.
Yeah, I was just gonna
That's
say.
just me.
Yeah.
Well, no, did
But the funny thing was that Jim Bennett said, and I always thought that prophet was insane and conspiracy theory, but now I'm halfway believing that maybe now it has come to pass through Mitt Romney voting to impeach Donald Trump. So it was just kind of funny that like you completely reject it when the other side is trying to claim this prophecy as supporting their political candidate. But then once it becomes politically convenient for you to see fulfillment of the prophecy, then you see fulfillment of the prophecy. So I would just urge caution on both sides for trying to claim fulfilled prophecies.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially ones that are kind of esoteric.
Yeah,
like
and
Okay, hold on.
a white
Last
horse or a
super chat.
constitution by a thread.
okay, but well, before you read the last super chat as well, before Luke came on, good news from my boy Jim was I actually really appreciate Jim because he's the only progmo that I saw come out. Actually, he's not a progmo; he's a Mo prog, which is good.
Wait, what's the difference?
The difference is in what order they go, and that's actually
What
very
side
important.
you lean on?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He said, this is unacceptable, full stop. And I don't think there's a guy in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that has more contempt for Donald Trump and his policies than our boy Jim Bennett. Yet he recognizes that this is absolutely, totally unacceptable, full stop. And he says it. And you know what? I got respect for that.
Well, that's what Kennedy was saying. He's like,
yeah.
you got to come together as a country. If you love your country, you'll pray for President Trump. Full stop.
Yeah. Like, and by the way, like, we need to get back to that crap. Like, they prayed for Barack. Conservatives prayed for Barack Obama every day of his presidency in the LA Temple. Every day of his presidency, there was conservative Republicans in the LA Temple praying for Barack Obama. And guess what? Every day of George W. Bush's presidency, there were JFK Democrats and ladies that voted for Lincoln, not Lincoln. Whew, they would be old. Ladies that voted for Clinton, all right, who were praying for the leaders of this country and praying for George W. Bush. So that's the way it's supposed to be. And we veered away from that for 40 years. Hopefully, you know, we get that back somewhat. And if Donald Trump is the one that has to take the proverbial bullet and the literal bullet for us to wake up to our, what's the scripture say, our dire situation, then so
Our
be
awful
it.
situation.
Our awful situation. Then frankly, good on him. I think Donald Trump saved America because the first time around, he appointed those 3 Supreme Court justices that America needed right then. If he only did that, he saved America from going off a cliff. And frankly, if in his second go around, his second campaign, all he did was take a bullet to freaking reunite America, understanding, whoa, this has gone way too far. If we're straight up shooting each other now and trying to imprison each other now, even if that were all he did, I think it would be the best second term or term attempt of the president, would save America in that regard. So, Brittany, last super chat.
Okay.
And then we're going to go.
Latter-day Chad says, at conference, it was said we will need an endowment of power like the early saints had. We must all be prepared spiritually for what is ahead and seek.
Okay, rock on. Then a geography guy gave us a simple super chat. Thank you very much. And then Real Utah Men says the memes are on fire.
Oh, I bet.
So, yeah, we're going to have to check out some of these memes. So anyway, yeah, all right. Well, we've unfortunately been able to figure out what's going on. We're going to have to jam here now.
By the way,
You know what I'm
did
saying?
you tell
Yeah.
the people who told you about this story?
Good job, babe.
It was me. From a pool, might I
Yeah,
add.
she called me up as soon as it happened. Like literally as soon as it happened. That was
I'm
good
on it,
on
guys.
you.
I'm
That
on
was
it.
on it. So anyway, Luke, do you got any cool news stories coming out pretty soon, man, that you can tease right now before we go?
I'm working on one about homeschooling and people being not allowed to homeschool their children in co-ops or with programs that are led by Christians if they're members of the church. And we've gotten a lot of submissions. If you've submitted a story about that, you probably haven't heard back from me because that would just take a long time to reply to all of them. But I have them all. I'm working through them, and we're going to be getting that story out.
Yeah. I got in
once we get through all that.
I got in a verbal fight with a curriculum company. I'll share that story later in another live stream.
You'll share that story later in a live stream. Awesome. Okay.
Maybe when we do the story.
Yeah.
All right.
When we release the story, we can hear that story.
All right. Thank you, Luke. You are free to go, my man. It has been awesome hanging out with you. For the rest of you guys that are still watching, we're just going to recap here before we get out of here. But President Donald Trump has indeed it's been confirmed he has been shot. It's obvious to anybody that's seen the video. However, it seems to be a bullet that has grazed his ear and bloodied him up a little bit, but he seems to be fine. The person that was not fine appears to be, from what we can deduce with the information we have now, reasonably deduce that unfortunately somebody behind or to the side of Donald Trump received the bullet that appears to have been meant for him. The threat has been neutralized, which is a euphemism for it looks like they got the guy who was shooting at Donald Trump. And according to CNN, that person was on a rooftop several hundred yards away, which, boy, that's a failure. That is a failure of a Secret Service sweep. If somebody was able to get a high-powered rifle good enough to graze the ear of a presidential candidate within 200 yards. The latest from CNN is that the FBI is on the scene in Butler, Pennsylvania, working jointly with the Secret Service. But I got to tell you, obviously Secret Service can't do the whole investigation of this. The investigation will be taken over by the FBI, but good on the Secret Service. And Biden has resoundingly condemned this assassination attempt. He's apparently tried getting in touch with Donald Trump and has issued an official report. I would actually recommend checking out some of these news outlets as well that seem to be on the scene there. But anyway, we're not a political show. We cover this because, frankly, we question whether or not this will happen to members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We're sitting ducks in our chapels. Let's be honest. And I don't think our church takes our security seriously. And the progressive left in America, unfortunately, has developed the rhetoric that the National Socialist left developed towards Jews in the Weimar Republic, that they developed towards landowners after the fall of the Tsar under the Bolsheviks, that the dehumanization of anybody that believes in traditional values as bigots, and the idea that you can punch a Nazi, and by a Nazi we mean a suburban mom that thinks taxes are too high, or a suburban dad that doesn't feel too good about gay marriage. That's gone way too far, to a point where there's people that are celebrating this kind of thing on Twitter. And we're not saying that is the impetus nor the motive of this shooter. There have been presidential assassination attempts that have been political in nature. We know that, like, Steve Scalise, for example, took a bullet from a progressive leftist that was a Bernie Sanders supporter, who literally said before opening fire on the Republican baseball game within this decade, "Oh, are those Republicans over there?" And with an anti-Republican animus tried to assassinate multiple members of, it was the Senate baseball game or the congressional baseball game. So that was indeed political. Meanwhile, Reagan's assassination attempt was apparently to try and impress an actress. I'm not sure exactly what the motive was for Robert F. Kennedy here in Los Angeles. I can't remember in my studies of that assassination attempt what it was, but we know John Wilkes Booth, that was a completely politically motivated assassination attempt. Meanwhile, it appears that Joseph Smith's assassination / martyrdom was a mixture of both political and religious as well, but with an emphasis on the political. It's actually becoming much more well and widely known just how popular Joseph Smith actually was. So anyway, I do fear for my people. I do not operate out of fear, and instead I encourage them to strengthen themselves and defend themselves. I am a CCW holder, and I encourage every active Latter-day Saint man to pursue training in how to defend yourself and be able to spring into action should some anti-Mormon try to do the exact same thing upon one of us. And if you don't think that does happen, you are an absolute fool. There are progmos out there that hate us enough that they will engage in violence. We saw
I don't know about progmos, but antis.
Anti-Mormons. Okay, well, there's the line between progmo and anti-Mormon. You don't know exactly where it is sometimes. Okay. And there's a difference between a mo-prog and a progmo. So I'm very careful about how I define these things. But we saw the violence that happened at that like BLM riot, and then was it in Center Street in Provo? We had in our stake a guy unload with a shotgun, thinking that do you remember that in the stake center? We won't name the place because we don't want to inspire any kind of copycats or anything like that. But we've had people shoot up pulpits within our stake. And you yourself have had family members that were in stake leadership that had to go testify in court, both for and against people that had threatened their lives with assorted weaponry. You've seen the folder that I have of anti-Mormon threats on my phone that I've had to start keeping. And we're not just talking about the dick pics. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, this is serious stuff. Now, are the vast majority just pansies blowing hot air because they have zero coping mechanisms and no chill? Yes, absolutely. But I am concerned for the rhetoric that the political left, and especially the progressive left in America, has adopted, where it's just okay to dehumanize anybody that does not feel ostensibly politically leftist. And it's gotten far enough where they acted a fool enough that they gave an absolute gift to the RNC. They gave a gift. You know, they say truth is stranger than fiction. I think any of these conspiracy theorists that try and say this was an inside job are completely asinine. You would have to convince me that you hired a sniper good enough that he could graze the ear of the president, knowing that he would be then in a foot race against the Secret Service and local law enforcement for an assassination attempt that was a lethal one, that is automatic, like straight up lifetime jail time. And that he would have to fail at it and get away enough without accidentally hitting somebody else in a crowd. There's just a point where it's disqualifying for me to say, oh, this could have been. It's not like the JFK assassination where we have the Zapruder film. Okay. So anyway, we make no claims here. I do express doubts to those that say it was an inside job. We're obviously going to wait for people and trained professionals to come forward with all of their opinions and their evidences and so forth. But thank you, everybody that was hanging out with us today.
There was one more super chat.
One more super chat. Hit it before we go.
I just lost it, but I think it was Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson says, I love you guys. Mm-hmm. Mike Johnson,
nice.
You know, we love you, dog. We love you, my man.
We love you more, Mike Johnson.
Yeah, it's not us, man. It's you, dude. You're freaking awesome. So anyway, you guys can hang out in the chat for another 30 seconds as we go. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel, buy a shirt. And if you're a person of means, please make sure that you send us a contribution through Zelle in order to help keep the lights on, because that's really, really how it works here. It's through our merch sales, through our contributions on Venmo and on Zelle, that we keep coming at you with all kinds of cool content. So anyway, as we always say, it has been real and it has been fun, and it has been real fun for this and more. Please make sure you check us out at WardRadio.com.
All my life I've barely spoken. Your words have been so broken. I've been under your hypnosis. Why did I sip that potion? I'm so done with holy ghosting. My birth, it is an omen. Lay me down up in the ocean until you see no motion. Right now I can barely focus. I'm showing no emotion. On your knees, show your devotion. My skin is black but golden. I'm not here for bragging.